Hi, and welcome to our video on, it's essentially today's video is on implementing a color picker in Appery. It's part of a series, Best Practices in Appery Development. So today we'll go over, and that's me, we'll go over the quick agenda here is we'll go over implementing a color picker in Appery. There's a lot of uses for implementing a color picker. But that's not the only thing that we'll try and get across here. We'll also get across working with a local storage array, the usefulness of an Appery generic service, hiding and showing collapsibles, which is also very useful in most of your development tasks, and coloring elements in a list or a grid based on the data that's being displayed. So we'll go over most of those topics today, or all those topics today in this video. Quick agenda, we'll go over these topics here, and then we'll get right to it. So I've done a little homework before I've gotten you guys here. I've created a new app with only one thing in it, and that's a page where on the design, it's just a color picker, right? And then I've also added a service to go get a list of colors from a database. So we'll provide you with this video in the package that can be downloaded from our website. We'll include this application as a plugin that you can bring in, and we'll bring the data. We'll also load the data out on our website that's being used, which is essentially just a spreadsheet of color numbers, which is so in our database we've loaded from a website just the color name and the color numbers, and we've loaded them into a table. You can do the same, and we'll show you how to do that a little bit later in this video. So we brought in a service to do that. We've called it the colors list service. It really just, when it comes back, it's going to do a mapping. So to implement our color picker, we're going to get the data from our server, and then we're actually going to store it in local storage. That way, when our list displays, it's not waiting for a service to run on the back end and bring the data back every time we want to do a color picking service. We can just get the data out of local storage in an array, which is really quick, and display it. To do that, we've set up a local storage array. Let's go over to our model and storage. Let's go over to model. We've created over here on the model side, we've created an array called A of colors, and we've called it array, and we added one element to it, and we just pressed the add button, and we got this. So the way yours should look, it'd be A colors, and then when you press the add button, you'll get this string variable called A colors sub 1. We've also implemented a local storage variable called A of colors. It's a local storage, and it's of type A colors. So first thing you do is set up that here, and then next thing you go to storage and enter a new variable name called A of colors and make it a type of A colors. That prepares us for going over to our UI on our start screen. On our color picker, we'll go to our data where we imported this service, a color picking service that we had off a table on our back end that has the colors. And then we'll just do a mapping from the results of that service. So we pressed expand all. We press the collapse all and expand all to get those. And on our screen, we're actually not going to map the data to our screen. We're going to map it to our local storage. And we're going to take the hex color and map it over to A of colors sub I. And we'll also take our iterator and point at the same element. And then we'll click save. So once we've done that, we'll go to our home screen in design mode. And on the start screen, on the load event, we will select invoke service, and we'll invoke our service get colors. And we'll test that really quick, make sure we're getting the data we want. We'll click test. Over here in our mobile preview, we'll see that our logging succeeded. We'll ask local storage if our A of colors actually has anything in it. I'll press enter, and lo and behold, it has our array of colors by color number. Back over in our app, we'll now add controls to our app. And we're actually going to place a couple grids on the screen. So in order to hold our controls, we'll put a grid with 1 row and 2 columns. So I've changed the number of rows to 1. I'll leave the number of columns at 2. And then on the right-hand side, I'm going to place another grid inside of the grid on this cell over here. I'm going to make it 1 column wide by 4 rows deep, and we'll show you why in a second. We'll make apply. And in the first 3 rows, I'm going to place some labels. So label 1, label 2, label 3. In the fourth grid, I'm going to place a collapsible set. And you might ask the question, why would you place a collapsible set there when you're only going to need one item, come to find out, right? And the answer is you get to pick your icons for expand and contract on the collapsible set with a collapsible set that you don't get to do with just a single collapsible. So you can change the number of items to 1, which we're going to do, and click apply. And then we'll change our icons by clicking on them for collapsed and expanded. Then I'm going to change the names and the text on my labels. Okay, so while I had you frozen here a little bit in time, I did make some important changes. So while you're away really quick, I added a label over here, called it color. Then I changed to label color. I had a thing over here called selected color, and I called it label selected color scheme. Over here, I added another label, data label selected color, and then I had another one called data selected color number. I like to name my labels so that when I'm mapping data to them, they actually have names and it makes sense. Then our collapsible, we named the collapsible whole set, mobile collapsible set color picker. And we named the block, mobile collapsible color block picker. And we named the header where the text is called mobile collapsible block color picker. We're going to change the text on it to pick a color. Then we're going to uncollapse our color picker collapsible by clicking off the collapse button. And then we're going to drop a list component onto that from here. We're going to change the number of items to 1, and then we'll click apply. So we click 1 element. On that element, we're going to get rid of the text. We're also going to go back to the set, and we're going to change the color of the data to a content of C or something that essentially gives clear content here to start with. Then we're going to add a label into our color picker item, list item. Drop it on there. We're going to clear the text out of it again, leave it blank. In the content on the collapsible block, we're going to remove the padding here so that we have enough room to see our work, right? And then back on our label, we're going to call it label color number. We're going to change the names of our list. We'll change this one just to change the name to list. List. Let me see if I could spell it. List. List. We'll change the name of the control to list colors. This will be useful when we do our mapping. Okay, well now we're ready to essentially map our local storage items to our UI. And the way we'll do that is, since we're not going to tie this to a data service and we want to just tie it to an event, we'll actually create an Appery generic service. So we'll do that by creating new. And we'll say service. And then we'll just say generic custom JavaScript implementation. And we will call our service map colors. And we'll create service. We're actually going to do nothing with the service once we do it. We're just going to leave it like it is. And then we're going to go back to our page, our start screen. On the data side, we will add that service to our UI or to our page. We'll call it service map colors to UI. And then the only thing we're going to do is in that service, we're just going to do a mapping on the success. So we're going to remove our before send event. And then the only thing that we're going to do inside this service is we're going to do a mapping from our local storage over to our UI, which will take all the elements out of local storage and put them on our UI in this list. So open up our mapping tool, and we'll tell the mapper we're going to go from local storage over to the page. We'll expand all on both sides. And here we're going to do 2 mappings of the A of colors Savai. We're going to take A of colors Savai and take it directly over to our list. So you'll get one element in the list for each item, and then the mapping that will occur will be also over to the color number. And it's a little bit lower, but we are going to map it to our label down here on the bottom. It's a little bit close to your field of view, but we're going to lap it there. And then we're going to do JavaScript on both of those. So this JavaScript, pretty much available on the forum anywhere to color a background element. has been taken from the forum. And if you want to color an element, it'll list the color and set it to a value. So the value of the color is actually coming into this mapping. So we're going to tell it that the children of this, which is going to be this element down here, we're going to color it the background value and then return the value here. And so we're going to do that. Then we're going to leave the label the same. So over here, we're just going to take the color and put it as a label there. So what should happen when we finish this is that the list item will be colored the same color as the item, and then the color number will appear on the label. And then we're going to schedule this service to run. So what we'll do is we'll schedule this service right here to run on the expand event on the collapsible that we've got there. So we'll go over to our UI really quick. So on the collapse block itself here, we'll click the expand event. And on the expand event, we'll invoke our service. So we'll invoke map colors to UI service. We'll click save and then change this collapsible block back to collapsed. We're going to click save. And since this video is about 11 minutes long right now, we're kind of reaching the limit for the free YouTube videos. So we're going to kick up part 2 in a second. We will really quick test the app. So we'll click test just to see what happens. Okay, and then when we click on pick a color, that's when our colors are supposed to fill from local storage. So we'll click that, and there we go. We've got a list of colors. So next thing we need to do is just what happens when the user clicks on a color, and then what happens with our fields here to show the selected colors. So we'll do that in the next video really quick. It'll be short.